r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His co-worker explained he's got a freakish memory. I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. In his job. With the thousands of faces he sees a year. That is a little disturbing. Being calm. People accuse you of being cold if you are not as agitated as they are. Same here. And the more stressful the situation, the calmer I get. Makes people wary. Shuffling cards. Him. Wanna play cards? Me. Sure. Gambit routine with lightning speed. Him. Not for money. Right? Not for money. It's always for money. Knowing where people keep items on their person. Friend will be looking for his keys or phone and I'll know what jacket pocket he left it in. It's worse if you can't move things from one pocket to another without them noticing. I once had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door. Took out a credit card. And shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We're getting new locks and a security system now. Walking silently. It's always a good skill to have to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice. But do it too well and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My so's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. Being able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. I can easily convert $100 bills into grams. A couple of years ago I locked my keys in my car in a Walmart parking lot. I went in and asked if they could help me. 2 employees came out with a jimmy. The one guy made a bet with the other that he could unlock my car in under a minute. He then proceeded to unlock my car in 15 seconds. I told him thanks. You must have a lot of practice. To which he laughed and walked away. How much did he win from the bet? Eavesdropping. I just passively listen to other people a lot when I'm alone. Even if I'm doing something else. It gets really embarrassing when you bring up information you heard from their conversation forgetting that you weren't involved. Or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. Edit. My previous grammar frustrated me. Or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. Found OP. Genuine kindness. My father was such a good soul. And people were suspicious about his kindness sometimes. I had a boss who was pretty much Mr. Rogers. It took a while to get used to it. We still work with each other sometimes and I still occasionally think he's being a sarcastic ass when he's definitely not. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story. My drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose. And I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said private. What the duck? I just googled that and the smart result, I don't know what the name for the system is, was my country's suicide hotline. I don't think it's really an everyday skill. But being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps. When friends or family approach my door I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying come in. Name here. You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry? Happy? Relaxed? Drunk? Are they wearing shoes? Heels? Barefoot? Though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. The removal of stains. I like to use lots of bleach and get the you must be used to cleaning up the murder scenes. A. I like the smell of it. B. If I was cleaning up a murder scene there are way better chemicals than bleach. Maintaining composure during a crisis. Do it too much people and think you lack sympathy and are a sociopath. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it. Which sounds funny until it's your co-workers and boss saying it. Calling your work into question. Edit. Holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions. I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school. The lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon. Certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special. I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through IM. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah. It was better than I expected. I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen. But I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes that genre." It's like I'm talking to a bot. I used to be a dispatcher for home hearing fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them we deliver your oil. I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely ducking hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tipper, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 lbs of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name I repeated the first and his address. That a-hole knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamn can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid, or cheap to use a ducking bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit wanted to add, "I am a former garbage man. That job is hell." Remembering things about a person from a few months years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. I totally understand. People always think I'm a creep because I remember almost everything about them after meeting, even if we met years before. Picking up on small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, "How did you possibly remember that?" I hate that. People ask me a question and I'm like, "You asked me the same thing last week on Monday and the week before on Wednesday. You wore a black shirt that day and we discussed politics over lunch, which was a steak." But it's quite selective. There's a lot I don't remember. Remembering someone else's schedule. I've had people get a little freaked out when I ask how a specific appointment task is going when I remember them telling me about it days prior. Yeah. Memorizing something always surprises people. My wife was suspicious when I could explain what happens in a Simpsons episode by the name or first sentence of the synopsis. I just watch a lot of Simpsons. Actively have Simpsons playing in the background right now. Not me. But someone I know once mentioned to me back in their high school days. They were suspected of being a snitch because they would always be inclined to leave right before the bus happened. It wasn't that the guy was a snitch. He'd say that sometimes he just got a feeling. Or he knew when a party was just dead. Some sort of sixth sense for this. Every time he got around to leaving, his buddies would usually follow suit, since they were usually the ones dealing anyways. My grandfather was like that. He skipped so many Gestapo roundups. I asked him if he could pinpoint the thing that warned him. And he'd just say things looked different and I got an uneasy feeling. Once he did get caught by Gestapo. But he wouldn't elaborate much what happened after. You can imagine why. Being a very persuasive salesperson. Ugh. If someone is too convincing, I just assume they're trying to scam me. Running in high heels. Dudes that can run well in high heels have nothing to hide at that point. Knife sharpening. Unless you're a chef. Edit. Yes. I get it. People. Butchers too. I once unnerved a roommate when she walked into the kitchen and saw me casually humming while sharpening my big duck-off chef's knife. What? I just want to maintain my big duck-off chef's knife and chop garlic more efficiently. Whistling. I can whistle the Android text tone and it freaks people out. I can make a sound that is identical to the sound of a vibrating smartphone. It's basically a low hum through very slightly open lips and across your teeth. I used to sit in class and make this sound. And people would freak out and check their backpacks or purses. And the teacher would get super pissed, since having a phone go off repeatedly is distracting. Edit. Whoa. This blew up a little. The YouTube vid that you/mail posted, skip to 650, is exactly what I do. Not dying. I learned from the best. A tight dominatrix down on 5th. Jackie, she never wanted me to escape. But why would I? Burn me with that wax domina. Hit me with that wit domina. Safe word was onion. There wasn't anything I wasn't willing to do for her when she had me wrapped up like Christmas present. One night, a client turned the fun on her. I found him. Of course. Made some knots of my own. Gave him some knots of his own. He does not have hands anymore. He does not have eyes anymore. Guess he didn't know the safe word. I look at license plates. I don't know why. But it's everyday for me. But for some reason I pretty much had the license plate of the girl I liked memorized. It was easy to remember and we worked the same place together every day, so I saw it at it. One time I almost slipped and said, "Hey, were you driving out in today?" And almost mentioned that the truck's license plate looked just like hers. Remembering names. Oh hi Beth. Remember me? We sat on a bench together for like 5 minutes about a year ago. Gets maced. Cleaning blood from things. Every woman, especially moms, should have some ability here. But be able to help someone cleaning up after an accident or injury and get the surprised looks and side eyes. Hubby's in the Edgar branch of the US military. Within a month of married, his whole shop was bringing bloodied uniforms to our house. Duck touch football and kitchen accidents. Read duckery. But thank God for baking soda. Locating children. I read that as lactating. So by an incidental combination of being a gearhead and at one time a tow truck driver, I am a little more observant when it comes to cars than most. I also have a knack for numbers and memorize things unintentionally. I've stopped mentioning to people that I saw their car somewhere or other. The movies, for example. It's awkward explaining that I know your plate and can spot your POS. Sentra from across the parking lot. I thought that was just standard car enthusiast life. I don't know Dave. Who's that? Oh, the guy that drives a white Prius. Right. Who's Jeremy? Black Camaro, right? I know like hundreds of people based solely on the cars they drive. Removing clothes off of an uncooperative toddler. Have a seat over here. Lying. Being a good liar means you don't raise suspicion. Noticing details about people. I have moved around a lot and have worked in a lot of industries. One being in tourism. If I'm a tour guide and I notice a particular brand of clothing and ask someone if they're from a particular place and I'm right, it's me being observant and leads to a fun discussion. If I do the same thing in line getting coffee, it's considered creepy. Today I learned Reddit thinks that lockpicking is an everyday skill. I think it's the opposite. To be honest. I took up lockpicking as a hobby and people think it's weird and get off put. But practice enough and become a locksmith. Nobody would judge. Smiling. I have very fast reading comprehension. People never believe me when I say that I've already read it and get frustrated that I don't take longer. I can't do simple math. But I read like lightning. I'm also very good with card handling, so everyone suspects that I cheat at poker. I encourage that because it keeps their eyes on my hands and not on my face. My mom can speed read like that and it drives me nuts. One morning I gave her a book I had read because I found it interesting, The Wealthy Barber. While we're watching TV, I hardly noticed her glancing at the book and she proceeds to toss it on the coffee table. Oh, I finished reading it. Holy shit, 25 minutes at most. Given it's a fairly small book, 150 pages. It took me weeks to get around to finishing what she hardly flinched at. Crazy skill. Due to my job, property management, and me being a flake, used to lose forget my keys a lot, I've gotten really good at quickly breaking into houses and apartments. Having a really good memory. I've learned that this can creep people out. I'm not an inquisitive person at all and I'm not nosy. I just remember things when people tell me. So now, I'll often pretend like it's my first time hearing something when someone tells me a personal detail they've told me before. Ducking like and subscribe.